Ick, a slang term that is most recently used to describe a feeling of disgust or aversion towards something or someone. In the case of the overly observant INFJ, it's fair to say that they indeed may just have a list of their own icks that, when noticed, are almost impossible to overlook. So what are some of the INFJ's instant turnoffs, and why do they seem so unbearable to witness? Welcome back, psychos. Before we get into it, we'd love it if you liked and subscribed to our channel, as well as to click the post notification bell so you never miss a video. Alright, let's get right into it. Starting with number 1, being too conforming or by the book. The INFJ personality type is considered a free thinker and free doer in every aspect of life. They prefer to take the path less traveled and often don't trust the societal constructs others hardly question. And while they don't always share their unique views on things, sometimes the INFJ can observe when someone is close-minded to the fact that maybe their conforming actions and decisions make it difficult for them to think for themselves. INFJs can't entirely trust someone who doesn't have the courage or capacity to think outside of what is being told to them. And because of that, this personality type becomes instantly turned off by the book characters. This ick becomes even worse when the INFJ is questioned or criticized for their logical rule breaking that goes against external expectations. In the eyes of an INFJ, blind obedience and authoritarianism makes people seem less human. And for that, they can't help but to cringe in disappointment and disinterest. Number 2, playing the victim card. If there's one way to quickly lose the INFJ's empathetic sympathy, lack of accountability has to be it. Victimhood for the sake of manipulation, justification, or attention seeking has to be one of the INFJ's biggest icks of all. Since this observant type has the habit of analyzing things from all angles, they know better than to be tricked into giving sympathy to someone portraying to be innocent instead of taking responsibility. Of course, the INFJ is unlikely to jump to this conclusion without doing some digging, but it doesn't take long for them to realize the obvious reality of self-victimization. This is especially true when someone can't come to terms with the idea that maybe they're the common denominator in their life problems. Since the INFJ takes so much time to self-reflect and tries their best to see where they went wrong far before even pointing the finger, they not only can't relate to those who play the victim card, but they also get an instant ick that makes them think of that person very differently. Number 3, being a know-it-all. Being labeled as a know-it-all themselves, INFJs can appreciate some shared intellect and knowledge. They love diving deep into people's expertise, no matter the topic or category. Normally, they don't shame those who share their wealth of knowledge, as long as they actually know what they're talking about. This is where the fine line of whether or not someone's proficiency is rooted in legitimacy or ego comes into play. When the INFJ comes to realize that someone is simply not open to hearing any other potential opinions, conclusions, or alternative ways of getting something done, their ick radar is immediately set off. For a true expert is always willing to remain open to innovation and alternate perspectives in order to challenge what they believe to be true. When knowledge is rooted in ego, there's a certain defensiveness that becomes obvious. Know-it-alls who don't actually know much about what they're talking about are deeply afraid of being proven wrong and are willing to do and say just about anything to save themselves from that embarrassment. Number 4, having an inflated ego in any regard. Speaking of ego, there's nothing that quite rubs the INFJ the wrong way. With extroverted feeling at hand, this personality type is able to easily cheer others on in their achievements. However, they're also able to easily decipher when someone's self-pride is either coming from a genuine place or a place of self-conceit. despite the fact that even the most genuine display of self-pride can come across as slightly icky for the INFJ type. It's the undue self-pride that really gets them. While sharing photos of a weight loss journey online is met with the INFJ's unwavering support, a page full of revealing gym selfies will result in an eye roll and complete disinterest. When someone is continually trying to be the center of attention, it becomes so unbearably noticeable to the INFJ that they can't help but to watch in disappointment for humanity. They can't stand shallowness, but shallowness that's combined with a self-absorbed demeanor tops the cake for most INFJs and their ickometers. Number 5. People who talk behind the backs of their friends. To be fair, INFJs aren't exactly known for being the gossiping type. Related to their disinterest in small talk, there's something so superficial about talking about other people that the INFJ usually loses interest in the conversation rather quickly. Yet, besides the fact that INFJs much rather talk about something deeper and more complex than what someone's neighbor's partner did on the weekend, there's a certain level of ick that comes with gossiping being someone's go-to conversational topic. Sure, sometimes we all need to vent, and most times, these stories and life challenges involve other people. Being the keen listeners and trustworthy advice givers they are, INFJs can tell when talking about someone else is necessary or not. In fact, the worst INFJ ick comes when someone can't help but to resort to talking about those they're closest with in a negative manner, in order to keep the conversation going. You know, I really love so-and-so, but everything she does seems to get on my nerves. INFJs hate playing into these sort of conversation starters, and can't help but to feel instantly turned off and uncomfortable in that person's energy, knowing they'll probably be talking about them with someone else. Number 6. People who talk about politics. We'll start this one by saying, maybe not every INFJ agrees, but for the most part, a passionate conversation about politics is an instant INFJ turnoff. Related to what we said earlier about the INFJ's need for a more stimulating conversation, current news surrounding politics is rarely what the INFJ has in mind. With deeper understanding and an opinion that probably concludes the political system to not be what it seems, these sorts of conversations leave the INFJ stuck in boredom, disagreement, and an unwillingness to share their honest view on the entire charade. They probably can't remember the last time they voted, and they probably have no idea who's running or what side they're running for. So while the INFJ is busy being icked out, they also probably seem completely oblivious and uninformed, which is also not exactly a comfortable place for the perfectionistic INFJ to be. To put it simply, if it's a one-on-one conversation, the INFJ may attempt to shut it down with the use of humor or admitted disinterest. And if it's not a one-on-one conversation, political banter is the perfect opportunity for the INFJ to tune out what's being said in order to silently slip into their own little worlds. And lastly, number 7, lack of consideration and kindness to strangers. Like they say, you can tell a lot about a date by the way they treat the server. For the INFJ, this and the way someone treats any other member of society rings very true. INFJs are constantly analyzing the gestures, interactions, and reactions of the people they're spending time with. Kindness comes in all forms and is considered common sense for the INFJ type when interacting with the public. On that note, when the INFJ witnesses unnecessary rudeness or lack of consideration, they are overcome with an ick that is nearly impossible to shake. Even something as simple as someone not thinking to look behind them as they pass through the door to ensure there's not someone they should hold it open for, or not saying thank you should someone hold the door open for them. Of course, it can get far worse, with common courtesy situations coming with a minimal ick factor. In fact, certain situations are so bad that the INFJ has no other choice but to cut off all ties with that individual, sometimes with no explanation at all. Well, psychos, that's it for today. So, Let us know in the comments below of an ick you have as an INFJ that we didn't mention in this list. Also, make sure to leave us a like, share with your friends, and subscribe to our channel so that you never miss a video.